Brian, welcome to another edition of Behind the Panel. I know everyone has been waiting to see who this month's guest would be. Did a poll last month on LinkedIn asking who the most favorite guest would be, and the winner, 5 votes tallied, but 2 of them go to Brian Rhatigan, who is our Director of Business Development here at Exertis Almo. Also is a Business Development Manager for our Epson projector line. Brian, welcome to Behind the Panel. I know you've been aching to come on for months and months, but we finally made it happen for you.
Feeling really special right now.
I mean, the list of previous guests is, Dan Smith, Kevin Welling, John Riley. To name a few. It's the creme de la creme here at EA. So, but all kidding aside, for those that don't know Brian has been in the industry for many years.
I've been 20 years in the world of distribution so far.
And that's even got me beat, and I'm older than Methuselah. But we call Brian the Doc of AV. He's been around. He knows pretty much all of it. So great resource we have here for those that don't know and haven't had the pleasure of meeting Brian before. Really, really good resource, wealth of knowledge in the AV space. Wanted to have you on, Brian, because, talking about projection, you manage Epson. Projection has been something that people have said for years could be dying. But again, here we are in 2024 and new technologies still coming out. Projection still prevalent in really everywhere you go in your daily life. So what are some things that you're seeing, any trends in the projector space that we should know about, or things that you see happening?
Yeah, happy to report that projection is alive and well. And it's actually still a growing product category when we look at sales year over year here at Exertis Almo. So as far as trends, I think it's a safe bet to say that the educational vertical is the strongest market for projection. You just can't beat the price when it comes down to the image size that you can get with a projector.
Right.
There's, other types of display technology, and they even have interactive projectors too that allow students to, come up and touch and interact with the content on the screen. So education is still a very strong market, but definitely over the last few years, we're seeing a big trend towards more what I call experiential projection applications. So think, theme parks, think things like the Van Gogh experience or the
phenomenal
exhibit, where people are actually kind of immersed in a digital canvas that's being produced by projection.
Yeah, and it's really, when you go to experience those events, it's the imagery, the colors so vivid. It's something that you really can't replicate with anything else with that kind of budget.
Another one, actually, anytime you go to a professional sporting event nowadays, there's always projectors in use. You see them images on the hockey rink, on the
ice. Yeah, definitely a big thing. One of the newer trends in projection is 21.9. It's been a buzz, with the Microsoft team rooms. We have the team rooms set up at our E4 shows. And I know with Epson, we partner with you with Legrand. We've had a 21.9 fast fold screen that you guys could kind of demonstrate the front row. What are your thoughts? Is that here to stay? Is it just kind of gaining traction now?
It's hard to answer that one. So there's products out there for sure. We're seeing 21.9 being offered even in flat panels. There's now a wide selection of projectors that support 21.9. But honestly, I'm not getting a big call for it, in the day-to-day business. I think the main driver of that is it's very specific to kind of that, conferencing application. If we're talking about just doing standard video or PowerPoint presentations, which are still very, very common, the 21.9, doesn't really apply there. So
gotcha.
I kind of have that wait and see mentality when it comes to 21.9 right now.
And I think, from our end at Legrand, I think that they're kind of taking a wait and see approach as well, because 21.9, although is offered at this point, it's really something that you have to get a custom quote for. So it's not something that they have standard across all their product lines over at Daylight. So definitely see some more interest in it, and I've seen more quotes go out on it, but we'll see if it, I guess the jury is out if it's here to stay.
Yeah, it's there if you need it, but certainly not something I'm being asked for every day.
From your standpoint, you guys are on the side that I call this behind the panel, because literally being in the essentials world, Legrand offers pretty much a total solution once you get behind the panel, anything other than the panel or the projector. One of my pet peeves in terms of speccing things out for folks is I oftentimes will have opportunities come across my desk, and I see new projector. They maybe will replace the projector mount. They just want to leave the old screens in place. I mean, from your standpoint, how important is it to get into some of the newer fabrics and some of the things that are available in screens these days that you can use? Because to me, it just seems like it's probably one of the less expensive items on the whole bill of materials, but can make such a difference in how your final image shows up to your to your audience.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand the reasoning. I know budgets are tight and whatnot. So, obviously, if there's any piece of technology in the room that you can still use, I can understand why you would want to do that. And I think screens definitely can outlive the projector. What I do come across, certainly the newer fabrics are going to have, an impact on the image quality. But what I see quite often is that there's old 4:3 aspect ratio screens that are in place, and the customers don't want to replace them. So, now, while you can find 4:3 projectors, they're harder and harder to find, and there's very few choices nowadays. So now you're in a situation where the native resolution of the projector doesn't even match the screen. So,
I mean, you could always watch it like letterbox format, like old school VHS in the 90s. That we could always bring that back.
That you'd have to have with the client, make sure they know what they're getting.
Yeah.
Yes, you can certainly have it letterbox while you have empty areas at the top and bottom of the screen. The other thing is projectors typically have a method of allowing you to project in a 4:3 mode, where you're basically not using the entire frame of the projector, but what you're doing is actually zooming in on the screen to fill the height. But you still kind of have that I call it black light, or that kind of halo-ish effect where you're overshooting the screen on both sides. So it's not ideal. So at a minimum, I always recommend that best case scenario is to match the aspect ratio of your screen to the native output of the projector.
Very good, very good. I would definitely agree on that. At Daylight, we're in the process of rolling out the new Myriad line of screens. They have the Conceal, they have the Reveal, and I think eventually, I'm thinking the Myriad will represent their total line. But
I honestly have not heard of that one before.
So one of the big things with this is that the case of it, in terms of the Reveal, it does not have a true front or back plate. So you can mount it if you were, let's say you had it on a stage. There were certain applications with older screens where you would have to actually turn the roller assembly around inside of it. With this not having a true front or back plate, allows you to mount it either way so that the screen can come down in the desired direction that you want. So pretty cool thing. You can get it with black drop. You can get it with the Sightline, which is an airline cable that takes away the black drop, and it literally makes it look like you have a floating screen. So that's a very cool, very cool product. And again, if you go tensioned, you have a lot of different fabrics. But right now, the Myriad, they're just focusing on the I guess we'd call it the medium, which is the 14 to 16 foot wide screens. Are what they're really focusing on now. So
and then of course, you have screen gain, which is going to have a very significant impact on the perceived brightness of your image as well. So,
and again, message to integrators out there: make sure you go out and do a site survey. Make sure you check the ambient light. Make sure that, because at the end of the day, if you're giving them a great new projector and you've got an old screen and you've got a whole slew of windows in front of it, you're not going to have a very happy customer. And if you check that ambient light and make sure that you're putting out enough lumens and that screen has enough gain to bring that image back to the people. So
oddly enough, that's usually the first question I ask when either a customer or one of our reps comes to me and says, hey, how bright of a projector do I need? My first question is, well, there's a few questions I'm going to ask, but I always ask about the ambient light in the room. And it's hard to believe, but easily 90 to 95% of the time that measurement.
I have no idea. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
So it's I get answers like, well, it's a bright room. So it's really
okay,
hard, if the fact that what I'm trying to get at is having that one measurement, again, along with like screen size and screen gain, we can
yeah,
actually, mathematically calculate the required number of lumens to get that, desired 15:1 contrast ratio. So
right.
light reading is very important.
Yeah. Well, Brian, I'm getting to the point in the show. I have a question I ask everybody. I don't know. I know you've watched episodes of this before. It is, I'm a lifelong wrestling fan. I know you are not, but on the odd chance you would not happen to be related to or have, like somebody that knows Nature Boy Ric Flair that could get him as a guest on Behind the Panel, do you?
I'm sorry, I can't help you with that one.
I mean, Dan Smith was my biggest hope. He lives in Florida. Nature Boy lives in Florida. I thought we could pull that off, but again, we're 0 for 5 on the Ric Flair. Anyone getting him? So, anyone out there that knows him, all of you watching at home, all that voted for Brian, please come in and try and get me with Nature Boy Ric Flair. But Brian, I appreciate you making time for me today. Great discussion. Thank you so much, and we'll see you guys next time on Behind the Panel.